Welcome back to another episode of Christian Talk. I'm your host, T. Welcome back to another episode of Christian Talk. I am your host. Oh, excuse me. Hey, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Christian Talk. I am your host, T. Now, hey, you guys. So welcome back to another episode of Christian Talk. I'm your host, Takia Janae, and first I want to thank you guys for coming back to watch another episode. Or if you're new here, thank you so much for coming to the channel. Please make sure you subscribe. Please. Let's get that subscribe number up. And also like this video and share it with someone and encourage them to subscribe as well so we can get our numbers up. I'm like, we need to get our numbers up. I know it's been a minute since my video dropping has been inconsistent lately because I am just finishing up classes for this semester. So I finished 2 out of the 3 classes that I'm taking. I am almost done with school. Thank you, Jesus. I only have like 6 classes after this semester. So, yeah. But yeah, I was taking classes and this statistics class has been taking up all of my time. Like I have not even been at the gym or as consistent at least as I normally go because I just don't have the time. And when I do have the time, I'm just drained. So yeah, I'm glad to be back. But I did get a 100% in my statistics class as the final grade. That's wild. It's actually not wild, but it is wild because I don't even like school. But yeah, that's where I have been. That's why my videos have been a little inconsistent, but we are back. I'm glad to be back with you guys. And today we have a really juicy topic to talk about. We're going to be talking about the F word, and it's not the F word that we're thinking about. We're going to be talking about forgiveness. Who's ready to forgive? Nobody is ready to forgive, and that's why we need to talk about it. Now, I do want to give a disclaimer because when whether it's myself or the guests on the show, when we discuss these topics, it is by no means because we have mastered it. It is by no means because we have figured it out and we're just walking in it. This is literally a platform for us to get to know God and His Word together, and also for us to encourage each other because like a lot of this stuff is just relatable. Like it's stuff that we all probably go through or think about, or either you've experienced it or you are going to experience it at some point, and be able to just look back and just be encouraged by something that you receive while watching these episodes. I'm not a pastor, a preacher, an apostle. I'm not a deacon. I'm not anything. I'm just a woman who is after God's heart and who has a desire to learn Him, who has a desire to have a relationship with Him. And I'm just really sharing that journey with you guys because I'm sure there are a lot of us on the journey, and the journey is hard. Like sometimes you might, feel like you're doing good, and then sometimes you might slip. Sometimes you might feel like, like you and God is right here, and then sometimes you feel like, God, where are you? So it's a journey. So I'm literally just sharing this journey with you guys. That is what this platform is for. So I just wanted to give that disclaimer. Like by no means does this mean that I got it all together, or that I know, or that I'm even qualified. It's called Christian Talk. That means we talking. Okay, we just talking. So this ain't no sermon. This ain't that. So we just talking, okay? Sharing experiences, sharing God's word, and just, collectively trying to figure out how we can do better as a body of Christ, how we can do better as children of God together. Now that we got that out the way, let's dive into today's topic, forgiveness. So today I have my physical Bible I done grown since the last time. I remember a couple episodes ago, I was like, I don't like using the paper version. I like the electronic version on my phone. I done grew up in the matter of weeks, y'all. Okay. So we're going to start at Genesis chapter 27. When Isaac was an old man and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." "Here I am," Esau answered. Then Isaac said, "I am now an old man, and I don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." So Jacob and Esau were Isaac's kids. Basically, the story is that Isaac, he was getting old and he was blind, and his desire was to bless Esau. First of all, let me tell you something. This is a wild story because I told you they was brothers, they twins. Their mom actually encouraged Jacob to steal his brother's blessing. Now that's wild, because these are both of your kids. How are you going to tell the one kid to betray the other kid? Like, so you just encouraging betrayal, but that's another story for another day. So Isaac, he believes he's about to die. So before he dies, he wants to give his son Esau a blessing. So now we're in chapter 27, verse 5. Now Rebecca was listening. Rebecca's Isaac's wife, which is Esau and Jacob's mom. Rebecca was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat so that I may give you the blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die. Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me two choice young goats so I can prepare some tasty food for your father just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than the blessing." His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say." See, this is the mom's fault. "And get them for me." So she's basically teaching him how to betray and be deceitful. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which he had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and smooth part of his neck with goatskin. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of the game so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. So now he put God in. See, I don't like it. He putting God in it. He's just lying. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near me so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son?" See, Isaac, I'm sure all parents know their kids. He knew this wasn't Esau, but he was trusting that it was. "Are you really my son?" he asked. "I am," Jacob replied. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat so I can give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him and he ate it, and he brought some wine and he drank it. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, so this is the blessing that he's thinking he's giving it to Esau, but it's really Jacob. So this is the blessing that Jacob stole. "May God give you heaven's dew and the earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine, May nations serve you and people bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. After Isaac finished blessing him and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food. So, okay, I'm going to just stop here. So basically, to make a long story short, he blessed Jacob thinking it was Esau. They found out it was Jacob. Esau found out it was Jacob. And I think he wanted to kill Jacob. I'm going to skip to, this is chapter 27 still. This is verse 41. It says, Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, the days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. So Rebecca, she warned Jacob, your brother's going to kill you. You stole his blessing. He found out. Now he's going to kill you. So to make a long story short, Jacob leaves and he goes, I think, to go stay with his uncle or something like that. So he goes on, he marries, he has children. So now we're going to skip to Genesis chapter 32. This is where Jacob is preparing to meet Esau. So when the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, we went to your brother Esau, and now he is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him. In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the group that is left may escape. So he's thinking that Esau is coming to kill him, basically. So chapter 33, it says, Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approaches his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. The first time they see each other again, this is what gets me. When I first read this, I was blown away because I'm looking to see, like, what is Esau going to do? I'm reading. What is Esau going to do when he sees Jacob? When I got to Genesis 33, chapter 4, it says, but Esau ran to Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Let's just stay right here on Genesis chapter 33, verse 4. After all that we know now, after all that we know, what Jacob did, the first thing that sticks out to me is he didn't say anything. It doesn't say that Esau says anything. That's all I need to read right there. When I first read this, it was so powerful to me because it really showed the heart of Esau. It really showed the power of God. It really showed what forgiveness is supposed to look like. Now, that doesn't mean that Esau was supposed to, start kicking it with Jacob again. But the fact that the first time he seen him, he embraced him, he threw his arms around him and he kissed him and cried. They cried together. That is so powerful to me. He didn't even say anything. He wasn't looking for an apology. He wasn't upset anymore. He wasn't angry anymore. And the first thing he does when he sees the brother that betrayed him and stole his blessing, the first thing he does is run up to him, give him a hug and a kiss and cry. But they didn't even have a conversation. Jacob didn't apologize. At least I don't remember seeing it. Now he was sending his brother things to just let him know he was sorry. He was. Jacob didn't need no explanation. Esau didn't need no explanation. He didn't need to know why. He didn't want to know, what do you have to say for yourself? He did not humiliate him for the mistake that he made. He embraced him, kissed him, and they cried together. I think what we think forgiveness is is not the same thing that God intended forgiveness to be. Because that's the same way that God forgives us every single day. When we make mistakes, when we fall short, every day, God has to look at us every day, embrace us with a hug and a kiss, and weep with us. When you weep with somebody, like you're like empathizing with them. Esau, he didn't want any explanation. He didn't want a I'm sorry. He didn't even know if his brother was really sorry. And he didn't care that his brother was whether his brother was sorry or not. His forgiveness was based on himself. It was all that happened internally. That right there, that was nothing but the power of God. The way we are set up as human beings, somebody steal our blessing, and the first time I see you again, I think it's a human being's natural reaction to still like want to get even. Most of the time, when someone is offended, hurt, betrayed, or anything like that, the first thing that we automatically want is vengeance. And we already know in the Bible, God says vengeance is mine. It's his. It's not on us to make somebody pay for something that they did to hurt you, whether it's intentional or not. It's not up to us to make somebody else pay. Because if first of all, we don't have the power to make somebody else pay. We can think we have the power. And I think that we think we do until we try to seek vengeance on somebody and we see they ain't swayed to the left or to the right. Now you're even more furious because you didn't try to get vengeance on this person to try to hurt them because you feel like they hurt you, and you failed at trying to get vengeance. So there's nothing that we can do to get vengeance on someone who has done us wrong, because vengeance is not ours. God says that is his. When you forgive somebody, it's not even about them, because you have to understand like what offenses do to a person. Like when someone offends you or betrays you, that puts a certain level of like anger in your heart. It puts a certain level of like resentment and bitterness in your heart. So in order for you to lift that up, for you to just like, to be healed from that, it has nothing to do with the other person at that point. You can't control what they do. You can't control what they say. You can't control whether a person is sorry or not, because you're going to have to forgive somebody that's not even sorry sometimes. There's some people right now, they go to sleep well at night and they done did some foul stuff. But what we do is we justify what we do. Well, this person did this. That's why I did that. Well, she said this. That's why I said that. Well, he did this. That's why I did that. So we try to justify our actions, but the reaction is no better than the action. Like right is right and wrong is wrong. So whether you were the person who were acting and you were out of line, or whether you're the person who was reacting and you were out of line also, it's still an offense. It's still, you still have to be held accountable for your actions. Because let me just give an example. So let's just say somebody punches you in the face and you see that person again like a couple weeks down the road, and you take a weapon and you do severe harm to that person, and maybe it causes them their life. The police, the jury, the judge, they're not trying to hear that person punched you in the face. They're not trying to hear, okay, this was their action, so now this was my reaction. They don't care. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. So if you look at it from that perspective, you have to now look at it from a spiritual perspective. If a person's actions is their actions, you now have to go to somebody with the authority to seek justice, or it should be just justice, but to seek justice or vengeance, because you can't get vengeance yourself. If you can't get it from that aspect, from the law, then that means that you definitely can't get it spiritually. So if somebody with authority is supposed to say, okay, this happened, so now we need to get you some justice. That means on a spiritual level, when something happens to you, now you seek the utmost authority, which is God, our Heavenly Father. You seek Him to get your justice. He sees all, knows all. So there's nothing that can get past Him. There's nothing that, even if it looked like they slipping and slide and they got away with it. And it's not even really about a person like, like the payback. It's not even about whether a person pays for their mistakes or pays for what they did to a person. Ultimately, because they might have a relationship with God too. And when we're wrong, we want to be forgiven, right? So when they're wrong, they want to be forgiven too. God loves all of us, right? You know what I'm saying? He forgives all of us. So that's another thing. If you're sitting back waiting for the vengeance or the get back, you're really playing yourself. You're really hurting yourself. Because what if God forgives them and there is no vengeance? Or what if it's that you never see it or you never know about it? So that to me is still like, you're still doing harm to yourself. You're just making that wound a lot deeper if you're looking for vengeance. So when you forgive a person, it's that anger and that resentment and that bitterness on your heart. That's something that only God can help you with. Regardless of what happens to the person who did it, regardless if they're sorry or not, you have to remove that stain from your heart. You can only do that by the power of God's healing. Only. Because it takes power to be healed when somebody cuts you like that. Like, you're seeing a cut and a wound that you, like, you're not seeing, but you're dealing with a cut and a wound that you can't even see. Like, you can only feel it. That's something that only God can patch up. That's something that only He can heal. No vengeance, no I'm sorry's in the world can change that piercing or that cut that is now on your heart. Because it runs deep, and rightfully so. When somebody does you wrong or somebody does something foul or betrays you, it's supposed to hurt. So it's going to do what it was intended. Whether you try to play it cool, like, no, I'm cool. And no, it hurt. It cuts you. You might have went through so much to where you're just numb and you just keep putting on numbing cream, but that's not healing. Being numb is not healing. Actually dealing with your heart and no longer having that malice, that anger, that bitterness on your heart, that's healing. Still wanting good for that person, that's healing. That's something that only comes by the power of God. So how do we deal with forgiveness? First of all, you got to acknowledge what happened. You have to acknowledge and be real with yourself and say, that hurt. Like, be real with yourself about how you feel. Because if you just try to sweep it under the rug, then you're just taking numbing cream and just trying to put numbing cream on a hole. It's not going to patch that hole up. It's not. Secondly, is going and taking that to God and being real with Him and saying, this person did this. It made me feel like this. I'm angry. Be honest with Him. I'm angry and I don't know what I'm going to do if I see this person. So I'm going to need you to help because I'm liable to do anything if I see this person right now. Be honest with Him and praying and asking Him to heal you, praying and asking Him to forgive them. And that's a hard thing to listen. I'm telling you, that's a hard thing to do. And sometimes you could think you forgave a person and you realize you ain't forgive them yet. I've had to forgive people that wasn't sorry. I had to forgive people who, justified their actions. Forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. Whether they're sorry, they're not sorry. Because a lot of people don't self-introspect. A lot of people don't sit within themselves and say to themselves, dang, that was foul. I shouldn't have did that. Dang, I shouldn't have said that. That was mean, or that was ugly. That was rude. Some people have that self-control and that self-introspect, and some people are easily convicted to where when they do something, they know, okay, that was wrong. And then there's some people, they sleep like a baby at night. They don't care whether what they said or did was wrong. Or they justify it and they're like, well, they shouldn't have said this or they shouldn't have did that and that wouldn't have happened. So if you are counting on the person and their, response, then you're setting yourself up to be disappointed, because let's just be real, like some people just don't care. And that's okay. You let God deal with them and their non-caring selves. Because you can't control them. At the end of the day, you can't control anybody but yourself. Trying to get your forgiveness in a person, you're going to always be left disappointed. I would go as far as to say that forgiveness is a beautiful thing when it's done in the way that God intended it to be, and it's done by his power and his healing. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing. That story about Jacob and Esau, that is a beautiful thing. I don't know how to do it yet, but it's beautiful though. Then you have to make a choice to forgive in your heart. Forgiveness is a choice. It's a choice that you make in your heart after you've given it to God, after you've, okay, I've acknowledged that this thing happened, this thing hurt me, and I've taken it to God, I've put it in his hands, I've told him how I felt about it, I've prayed about it. Now I have to make a decision, a choice in my heart to let it go. You know how they say faith without works is dead. Now that you've given it to God, you pray to him about it. Now you have to do the work. Now you got to put, in some work. You done already told him how you felt and you trust that he's going to help you through it, but you got to put in some work. Now that we talked about what forgiveness is, let's talk about what forgiveness ain't or is not for all the politically correct folks out there. So forgiveness is not approval. Like, you're not approving that this thing that happened to you was okay. You're not saying, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, what you did was cool. Absolutely not. Forgiveness is not approval. It does not say that what happened to you was okay or what this person did was okay. Now saying that we're releasing how their actions made us feel, or what it did to us and what it did to our spirit and what it did to our heart. We're releasing it, but it doesn't make what they did okay. The second thing forgiveness is not, it's not forgetfulness. It doesn't mean that you just completely forget what happened. You completely forget what that person did, because that would be unrealistic. That would be almost like, I don't know, fake or phony. Like we can't just forget that it ever happened. And that brings us to the third point, which forgiveness is not reconciling without setting boundaries. So the choice is up to you, right? Like, you can choose to reconcile with the individual who've offended you, but that reconciliation doesn't come without boundaries. Like, it's not open season for you to just keep doing what you're doing. It's not open season for, for your behavior to continue. Like, there are boundaries that have to be set in place for you to, if you decide to continue and reconcile the relationship or the friendship. So I would honestly say use discernment on if you do decide to reconcile your friendship or relationship with the person who offended you. Because there's some relationships, even family members, that you don't desire to reconcile. You can forgive that person. You can still love that person. And you can even still have a conversation with that person. But in your heart, you know that there's no change. Like, that's who they are. And in order for you to have the peace that you desire in your heart and the forgiveness that you've already chosen, you know for a fact this person will absolutely do that again. So because you know that, you choose not to reconcile with that individual. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you haven't forgiven them. It's just that you know what you're dealing with. and you're choosing not to deal with it moving forward. So I would say pray and ask God for the discernment before making that decision, and allow him to show you who you're dealing with. Because there's some people who, they absolutely self-introspect, and they absolutely don't want to continue to behave or to move in the way that they moved before, because they see what it does to you. And there's some people who don't care. There's some people who don't even see. They're not even on the same frequency to even know what they're doing. That's dangerous. But when somebody actually, they know what they did and they're sorry, and in their heart they are convicted, like, you can work with that. You can set boundaries in place and you can move forward in a relationship or a friendship with that. But it's not reconciling without setting boundaries, though. So now that we got that out the way, forgiveness is it's a real deep topic. It's deep, it's heavy, but it's necessary, though. And it's one of the hardest things to do that God commands us to do. He forgives us every day. God forgives us every single day. Every day. He gives us grace and he gives us mercy. And he don't set no boundaries with us. He still chooses to forgive us every single day. And we don't deserve it. We don't deserve his forgiveness and his grace and his mercy, but yet he still gives it to us every day. So if we're his children and he forgives us every day, then who are we to say that we're not going to forgive those who sin against us every day? So that is all I had today. I enjoyed this episode. I think this is a very powerful, powerful topic. So just make sure that you guys like and share with someone who might be struggling with forgiveness. Just to encourage them and just remind them what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not. So thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. All right, thanks y'all. Bye.